Hello everyone, we are going to do a couple questions from our probability practice worksheet together. Number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, and 5 we're going to do together. Number 6 and 7 will be your homework. Please make sure to take notes while I'm working on number 1 through 5. So let's look at first question. Suppose you were to spin the spinner and then roll the six-sided number cube. Make an organized list of the possible outcomes of a spin of the spinner and a roll of the number cube. The possible outcomes for the spinner would be 1 and 2, and then for the possible outcomes for the six-sided number cube would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now let's list them together. Once for the spinner's outcome number 1, once for the spinner's outcome, the second one would be the spinner's outcome number 2. So it'd be 1, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do also for the second outcome for the spinner. Two for this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the cube. Let's list all possible outcomes now. So we have, let's change the color. We have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, and 2, 6. Here, the first number comes from the spinner, and the second number comes from the cube. Okay, so let's look at letter B now. What is the probability you would get a 2 on both the number cube and the spinner? So we are looking 2 on both the number cube and the spinner. Let me use a highlighter here. If I look at my table, I see where 2 for the spinner here, and then for the cube, 2 is right here. So it is, if you look at the list of the ordered pairs, I see it also here. So we have 12 possible outcomes, and out of 12, only one pair, one outcome would give us the 2 on both the number cube and the spinner. So then our answer for B in fraction form would be 1 out of 12. Let's look at letter C. What is the probability you would get a factor of 2 on both the number cube and the spinner? Let's talk about number first, a factor of 2 first. What are the factors of number 2? In other terms, what are the numbers that you can get when you multiply to get 2? So only 2 numbers I can call for 2 that would give us, when you multiply, those are number 1 and number 2, because 1 times 2 is 2. Then let's look at, from our list, which numbers we can highlight to get factors of 2 on both the number cube and the spinner. So I see from the table 1, 1, and I see 1, 2. Also, I see 2, 2 and 2, 1. So I see total of 4 outcomes would give us a factor of 2 on both the number cube and the spinner. So then our answer would be 4 out of 12. You can simplify this answer to 1/3. Let's highlight this one. So our answer is, simplified answer is 1/3. Okay? Okay, let's move on with letter D. What is the probability you would get a multiple of 2 on both the number cube and the spinner? Let's look at multiple of 2 this time. Multiple of 2 means 2 times 1, which is 2, 2 times 2, which is 4, 2 times 3, which is 6, 2 times 4, which is 8, and so on. So we're going to look for these numbers now. Either you can use the table or you can use the list, ordered pair list. So let's look at where we can find both would be multiples of 2. So I don't need to really look at the spinner with 1 because 1 is not multiples of 2. The first multiple of 2 would be number 2. So I'm going to look at actually the second number 2 on spinner options. The first, I would like to use the list of ordered pairs for outcomes this time for this question. So I'm going to start with 2 and 2, 1, and then I have 2 and 4, 2, and then I have 2 and 6, because 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 3 is 6. And then 2 is already multiple of, itself, which is 2 times 1. So I see 3 options, 3 outcomes out of 12 outcomes here. So I'm going to write our final answer in the box, which is 3 out of 12. Let's write 3 out of 12 in simplified form, which is 1 out of 4. Our final answer would be 1 out of 4 for this question. Okay, let's move on. Number 2. David went to Miss Sally's deli for lunch. He saw the sign below. Let's look at the sign. So we have 2 bread options. We have 3 meat options. And we have 3 cheeses, also cheese options. David couldn't decide which sandwich he wanted, so he told the sandwich maker to surprise him. If the sandwich maker chooses the bread, meat, and the cheese at random, what is the probability that David will get a turkey sandwich on a white bread with cheddar cheese? Before we start solving this problem, I would like to talk about fundamental counting principle. The fundamental counting principle, also called the counting rule, is a way to figure out the number of outcomes in a probability problem. Basically, you multiply the events together to get the total number of outcomes. In this question, we have breads, which we have 2 options, and then for meat, we have 3 options, and then for cheeses, we have 3 options. So then, I would like to keep the answer part later to complete. I want to actually explain the reasoning first. So we have 1 white bread because we're looking for white. So we have 1 out of 2 options for the white. And then we have for the meat, turkey, we have only, 1 out of 3, and then times for the cheese, we have only 1 out of 3 cheese options, so which will be 1 out of 3. So if we multiply these 3 fractions, you will get 1 out of 18. So that's why our answer will be 1 out of 18 for this question. Okay, let's continue with question number 3. Make an outcome grid for the following situation. To find the product of rolling two six-sided number cubes. I think there's a typo here. Just get rid of this too. You can see the examples. It's super easy. We're going to create ordered pairs outcomes. The first one comes from the number 1 through 6 column here. The second one comes from the row number 1 through 6 again. The column represents the first six-sided number cube. The row also represents the other six-sided number cube. Okay, so let's continue with this one. Because it's multiplication, I'm going to also write the answer for the multiplication for each box for the grid. Okay, so 1 times 1 will give us 1. Here, 4 times 3 will give us 12. We will continue to do the same thing using the same idea for each one of these boxes in the grid. So let's do, this one will be 2, 1. If you multiply 2 times 1 will give you 2. So it's 3, 1, which will be 3. For the 4, 1, it will be 4. 5, 1 will be 5. 6, 1 will be 6. Let's continue with this one. Now again, I will start with the column first, column number, and then I'm going to continue with the row number. So it's going to be 1, 2, which is 2. And it's going to be 2, 2, which is going to be 4. And then 3, 2, which will be 6. And I'm not going to continue writing the ordered pairs, but I'm going to write just the product since that's what we're looking for, okay? So it's going to be 8, 4 times 2 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10, 6 times 2 is 12. Here, 1 times 3 is 3, and then 2 times 3 is 6, and then 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12, 5 times 3 is 15, 6 times 3 is 18. If you continue doing the same thing as what we have been doing, it should give you these numbers. Okay, now let's look at all the questions here from A through E. What is the probability that the product of numbers will be a multiples of 5? So if you look at multiples of 5 here, I have 1, I have 2, 3, 4, and then here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I see 11. So we have 11 different options for outcomes for letter A out of total outcome, which is 36. So it's going to be then 11 out of 36. We cannot simplify it, so we will just leave it as 11 out of 36. But if you would able to simplify, please make sure always simplify your answer. Okay, let's look at B. What is the probability that the product of the numbers will be an even number? So this one, let's use another color to highlight. So we are looking for even numbers this time. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 outcomes. So then we will say 27 out of 36. Now please be careful with this question's answer because you can simplify it. 27 and 36 both divisible by 9, right? So the answer for this one will be 3 out of 4. Three out of 4. Okay, let's move on with the next question. What is the probability that the product of the numbers will end in 0? So that's what we're looking for. I would like to change our highlighter to yellow. So we're looking for the numbers in the grid will end in a 0. So let's look at this time. I'm going to probably put check mark to not have it too complicated here. So will end in 0. The first column I couldn't see anything. Second one I see this one. So 1, and then I see here 2. I see 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So I see total 6. And our answer for this one will be 6 out of 36. Again, you can simplify this question answer. So let's simplify it. 6 and 36 both divisible by 6. So the answer should be 1 out of 6 for this one. Letter D. What is the probability that the product of the numbers will be greater than 10? Now we're going to look at the numbers in the grid that are greater than 10. Let's use maybe blue highlight this time. So I'm going to start with the first column so I don't see anything greater than 10. And the second column I see 1, so I'm going to use blue highlight here. So 1, and then 2, 3, 4. I see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have total 17 numbers that are greater than 10. So I'm going to put 17 out of 36 here. Can we simplify it? No. So we will just leave it as it is. And the last question, it says, what is the probability that the product of the numbers will be a multiple of 7? So we're looking for any number in the grid that will be a multiple of 7. So it could be 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Do you guys see any number? Yep, we don't see any. So the probability for this one will be 0 out of 36, which is 0. Okay, so we're done with question number 3. Okay, let's continue with question number 4. Alex and Ben are playing a game with 3 coins. To play the game, they flip all 3 coins at the same time. If the 3 coins match, Ben gets a point. If they do not match, all match, Alex gets a point. What do you think? Is this a fair game of chance? Yes, you're right. It is no. Before we explain our yes or no, let's look at, let's create a tree diagram and let's look at why we wanted to say no. I would like to start with the first coin, the flipping first coin. Will give us either heads or tails, right? And then when you flip the second coin, you will have either heads or tails again. If you had first one tails, the second one will be heads or tails again. And then, sorry. And then the last flip, for the third coin, you will have heads or tails. You will have heads or tails. Again. Oops. So when you look at all three coins where they all match, I'm going to use a highlighter here. So for this one, it is going to be heads, and then heads again, and heads. So that's what we are looking for Ben. So here, Ben gets a point. Same thing for tails, for the second one, tails, and then for the third one, tails. So here, you can see Ben gets also a point. So for the yellow highlighted ones for Ben, so Ben gets from this game, the most is 2 points. So I'm just gonna put, change the highlight, and let's look at now Alex's. So Alex gets from any other combination, so he gets points. So when you look at all these, will give Alex a point. So let's look at, if I write down the probability for Alex, the possible outcomes maybe we can look at for, because we have 3, we can use probability of H will be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which will be 1/8. And then for probability of tail will give us the same idea, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, which is 1/8 again. So the options that when when you have all 3 coins match would be together 2 out of 8, which is 1/4. So in this case, Alex can win or can get point 1 out of 4 times, which the rest will be for Alex. So that's why this game is not a fair game. Let's write our explanation here. The tree diagram I'm going to highlight it so you guys can see the explanation a little bit better. Okay, we're going to go into the tree diagram a little bit more with the last question of the assignment that I will be solving with you guys. So question number 5. Jose is going to a party. He has decided to wear his jeans and a sweater, but he can't decide what else to wear. The tree diagram below shown the possible outfits he can make if he randomly selects sneakers or loafers, blue, red, or brown socks, and a black, red, or plaid cap. How many outcomes are there? Let's start with how many outcomes we have here. So if you look at carefully all the outcomes, you will see 8. How I know? I have 18. I have 2 sneakers, I have 3 different colored socks, and I have 3 different caps. So then if you multiply the outcomes, you will have 18. So it's going to be 2 times for the sneakers, we get 2 outcomes. For the socks, we have 3 outcomes. And then for the caps, we have 3 again. So total will be 18 outcomes. Okay? So what are the chances that Jose will wear loafers, blue socks, and plaid caps? So let's look at, I'm going to put some numbers here to help us the mathematical calculations a little bit easier. So at the start, he has 2 options, sneakers or loafers. So I'm just going to go with 1 out of 2 for the sneakers. We have 2 options and sneaker is one of them. For the loafers, we have 1 out of 2 as well. So probability of getting sneakers would be 1 out of 2. Probability of getting loafers would be 1 out of 2. Let's continue here. So for the sneakers, we have 3 options of socks, right? So then we have 1 out of 3 for each color. Same thing I'm going to do here. 1 out of 3. Probability of getting blue socks, 1 out of 3. Red is 1 out of 3. And then brown is also 1 out of 3. And then finally, for the caps, for the black, we have, since we have 3 options here too, we have 3 outcomes for the caps. We have black cap, red, and plaid. So we will go with, again, 1 out of 3 for each one of them, 1 out of 3, and 1 out of 3 for each one of them. Please continue writing these 1 out of 3s for all those caps options for each sock. So we will go with 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3, and 1 out of 3. So we have 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3, and 1 out of 3. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for us to see. And 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3, and 1 out of 3. So now let's look at our final answer for the first branch. So I'm going to go and I'm going to say, so probability of getting sneakers with blue socks and black cap will be 1 over 2 times 1 over 3. So you're multiplying the branches. 1 over 3, which will be 1 out of 18, right? So I'm going to just kind of highlight the branches that I use. So starting from here, and then this one and this one. So we multiply all the probability of events here. 1 out of 2 for the sneakers, and then 1 out of 3 for the blue socks, and then 1 out of 3 for the black cap. So we just multiply them, okay? So you would do the same thing for each one of them. So you would get your final answers if you follow the same idea and the method. So for the red, it will be the same because you're going to just multiply the branches. So it's going to be 1 out of 18. For the plate, 1 out of 18. So each one of them, you will end up with 1 out of 18. There we go. Okay. Now, let's go back to our question. So, it was asking us to look for, I'm going to highlight again, loafers and blue socks and plate cap. So we're going to go to loafers for, I'm going to use different color for this one. So loafers, we're looking right here. And then we're looking for blue socks, which is, oops, right here. And then we're looking for plate cap. So it is going to be right here. So if you follow the branch, we're going. So our final answer for this one would be 1 out of 18. Let's look at letter C. What are the chances that Jose will wear now sneakers? And either one is fine, red or blue, and a black cap. So we have to now consider the option red or blue, both socks, okay? So let's use another color for this one, maybe purple. So we're looking for, we're gonna start with sneakers this time. And we are going to continue with red or blue. So we include both of them. So we're gonna have this one and we're gonna have this one. So both of them, red and blue socks. And we are going to continue with black cap. We have for the blue socks black cap here, for the red socks black cap here. So we have probability of getting blue and red socks with sneakers, and the black cap would be 1 over 18 plus 1 over 18, which will give us 2 out of 18. If you simplify 2 out of 18, your final answer will be 1 over 9. Now let's continue with letter D. What are the chances that Jose will wear neither red socks nor a red cap? Let's highlight again what we're looking for. Neither red socks nor red cap. So if no red socks nor red caps, then we will look at all other options to write our probability. So we're gonna go, I'm gonna use blue this time. We're gonna go back to our tree diagram and let's highlight red socks and red caps for to show that we're not gonna include those, okay? So red socks, I'm gonna go and highlight for the sneakers red socks. If there's no red socks, then automatically we cannot have this or this or this one. Same thing for neither red socks. We're gonna go to red socks here and we cannot include any of these. So our 6 outcomes are now shouldn't be in the calculation. So far we have 6 should be subtracted from total outcome. And then Now let's focus on red cap. If you go to other colors and red cap, we have one here we should not include, and then we have two here, and then we have three here, and then we have four here. So total would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 outcomes we cannot include in our answer. Since total outcome would be 18, if you subtract 10 outcomes from 18, your final answer for this question would be let's go. It would be 8 out of 18. Again, let's simplify it. Our final answer would be 4 out of 9. And the last question I will be going over with you guys is letter E. What are the chances that Jose will wear sneakers and a black cap? So we're looking for sneakers and a black cap. So let's go and choose our highlight. This time I want to go with brown. So we're going to look for sneakers, so which is right here. And let me highlight also this one to make sure that we see. So we're looking for sneakers and black cap. So that's what we are looking for. Let's go back to our original highlight. So we're going to go sneakers, and then we're going to go to black cap. So when you go to sneakers, I don't have any information about the socks. So it could be either this one, it could be either this one, or it could be either this one. So all three options are okay. Now, our final answer will be determined by the cap color or style. So we're going to go to black cap. So I have 1. And then for blue, I have another 1, 2. And then for the brown socks, I have another 1, so 3. So we have, at the end, 3 options, 3 outcomes out of 18. So we're going to go and write 3 out of 18 here. Don't forget to simplify it. So the final answer after simplifying 3 out of 18 will be 1 out of 6. Okay, we are done for questions number 1 through 5. Remember, question number 6 and 7 for you guys to complete as homework tonight. Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.